What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another stream. How's everyone doing? What a day. Another volatile day in the market. Did you manage to catch anything? How was your day? What's been your week so far? Continuation of news event in the dollar just continues. But today, in my opinion, and by the looks of how the pound pairs reacted, it looks like it was much more of a reaction to the budget that was announced today than anything else. That's actually, it was basically the catalyst of the day, and you can see how the pound pairs reacted. Now let's take a look, just a quick look actually at the news. So we had CPI in Australia, lower than expected, and unfortunately for me, exactly what I mentioned yesterday, that I was looking for longs on the Aussie and potential shorts even on euro on the other euro Aussie and so on. It happened overnight, so CPI, it was slightly lower than expected. The move to the upside, this may help a little bit more the RBA to eventually cut rates. Then you had the CPI in Germany, it was slightly higher than expected. There was a little bit of volatility as well around that time, but then the big one, it was the, where is it? It was the autumn, right? It was the forecast that happened. Basically, the chancellor announcing the budget, 40 billion raising tax, and market was super volatile. Initially, it was a big move to downside on the pound, and a little bit of a correction, then basically price moving again to the downside. In terms of the US news, we had ADP non-farm at 233, so much better than expected. Basically, almost 2 times more than what was expected. Again, this is a good data. Yesterday it was a bad one in terms of job openings, so we'll see on Friday what's going to happen. And also tomorrow we have unemployment claims, and in terms of GDP at 2.8%, basically that's the first data in terms of the Q3 GDP in the US. Slightly lower than expected, expecting at 3%, but 2.8 is not bad neither at this point. Tomorrow we have BOJ, so again, let's see on the yen pairs what you can expect. Again, not much that you can analyze at this point, because the move, or most of the moves, are going to happen overnight. So we'll see if tomorrow we are going to be at a good level to eventually look for those trades. Again, we have been looking eventually for shorts or for longs on the yen index, which means shorts on the other yen pairs. And in terms of US, we have the unemployment claims and core PC. So again, another big data. And then of course on Friday we have NFP. So we're going to have plenty of data to continue within this ranging market, or eventually a break in here on the dollar, right? It looks like the dollar at this point is still holding this level. So again, like we mentioned yesterday on the dollar index, we were looking for price to move to downside. Like price was somewhere in here or somewhere around here. I don't know where it closed yesterday, but you're looking for price to fill at least this range and eventually also managing to break to downside. Like that's basically the draw that we have in here. But price didn't really manage to do that just yet. We actually reacted quite nicely from the level. It went to the upside, paused a little bit in the middle, to be honest. There's maybe something in there where price reacted from, and then it made another leg down without really managing to break structure. Now we have euro dollar that is managing to break structure to the upside, but then you have dollar index that is not managing to break structure to the downside. Right, there's a little bit of a divergence in here. Again, reason for that is maybe because the pound is not really falling or not creating that much strength. We have a few other dollar pairs that are not really as weak or as strong as euro dollar in this case, and then that's why we are seeing euro dollar actually managing to break new highs. Again, when you're taking a look in a bit at this euro index, this was actually a great pair that we analyzed, and we could actually anticipate that strength on the euro pairs. Right, that's basically something that we've been looking for already since last week, which actually, in terms of strength against the dollar or even any other currencies, the euro pairs were maybe the assets to look for in this particular case. So, all right, again, nothing changes in here. All right, nothing changes in this case on the dollar index. The only thing that changes is that this level now has been reacted from. All right, price now has already reacted from here, which makes it weaker, which makes it eventually increase the possibility for this level actually to be broken in the future. it can happen already tomorrow. We will see. Again, I still even like that level in there at the extreme, and by any chance, if price does still want to go slightly higher or even fake out this high into the next structure, it can before maybe move to downside. But for now, nothing really changes in here. If price just breaks to the downside and then goes up and then kind of moves to downside again, that would be quite nice to see. If price just keeps respecting this level in here and now moves to the upside, then you may have new highs to happen in here on the dollar index. So again, what's going to happen around these lows, it's going to be important. If dollar index doesn't really manage to break them, then expecting eventually price to go a little bit more to the upside. Perhaps this level in here can be actually the zone where we have a continuation now to the downside in here. So yeah, nothing really changes. More volatility to be expected tomorrow, and we'll see if we're going to have that momentum. Tomorrow is going to be the day before the NFP, even though we do have core PCE, so it's going to be quite a volatile day again. But sometimes what we have, especially when, well, it depends, because when price is still around this structure here, maybe we can have finally that break that can give us the direction where price may wants to go in the future. And then maybe can retrace all the way through on Friday, and during the NFP, it reacts to the extreme of that level, and then price just moves in the direction of that initial break. Like for example, if price does break below this level, may starts open the door to go further down. So that can be the move a little bit tomorrow, but then starts recovering a little bit, and maybe around the NFP, it's going to be again closer to this high here, and then you can have that move, and now price following the initial move to downside that happened in here. Like that could be one of the scenarios. And that can happen a little bit when you are actually trading within a range, a potential good level on the left side throughout this week. If by any chance price had already broken something and there was still a big gap for price to fill, all right, it's not exactly this scenario, but if that was the case, then tomorrow could be a momentum day for price to fill all that space and towards to the next level where perhaps with the NFP then can start looking for the opposite direction. Right, that will be a little bit of the approach that you can take in terms of the day before the big news. All right. So, but this case, at this point, we are still within the range. So it's just looking more of a confirmation to see which level actually, which extreme is actually going to be broken, and if we are going to manage to finally have a level being broken here on the dollar index. So that's something to bear in mind in here. Looking at the US indices, it just continues. Apparently, we have in here S&P just ranging, all right, so it doesn't really, or he hasn't really gone anywhere. Again, that level in here is still okay, so if by any chance eventually price does want to go there, it can, but I would definitely like to see some of these walls being broken to start seeing indication that price actually wants to go further down. We do have already this one, so that's something in there, but again, this is something that we are going to just continue to follow. Today, we are going to still have, I believe, unless that already happened, but I do believe that the earnings hasn't happened just yet. Maybe it did. I'm not sure. Like, but today is Microsoft and Meta, so I'm not sure if that already happened. If there's some kind of volatility going on in here, is because of that. Otherwise, it's still going to be in a few, maybe in 1 hour from now, or yeah, we'll see. Usually it's around, yeah, close to 9 p.m. But the hour hasn't changed in the US, so maybe around 8. We'll see. And then you have Nasdaq. Nasdaq reacted really nicely, right? So it made a new high, comparing with the most recent highs in here, and they actually reacted from the level that we have been waiting for. Like it reacted from this zone in here. It finally fake out that high, and now is reacting from this structure. That's basically the level that was still fresh before that this high never reacted from it. And that's definitely one of the last levels that can still hold price to the downside. And then the P8 it was okay in here just before price moved down. And I still see the potential zones in there that price can react one more time. All right, so you may have that one. And of course, you may have still the extreme in here that price can even go there, or even that one as well can be also reacted in there. So we have basically a few 2-3 levels. Even in here, maybe price already reacted now. In here, yeah, maybe already reacted, but just from the lower edge, which means that maybe from the upper edge as well, there's still a zone in there that price can react. And we are looking for price to fill this range in here, right? We did manage to break slightly these lows, but price just reacted from that level. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on to see if price basically reacts a little bit from this level and goes higher, or if it starts now moving to the downside. And again, as I mentioned, I still like a few levels in here that price could eventually react from. All right. So that can be quite interesting, given that extreme in there, but then you can even go a little bit more to the upside it doesn't look like that this high actually reacted from it, so there's maybe still something in there. Yeah, so there are a few zones in there at the highs that price can react. We'll see if price does respect this level still in here, then perhaps you can have new highs. If price starts even breaking or doesn't even touch this level and it goes there first, maybe then you can have this price in here to fill. So that's just something to bear in mind. In here on the on the Nasdaq, the Dow just continues to be within this range, right? Just literally continues to be within this range. It hasn't even closed this gap in here. That low got really close to it. Just one more reaction, so we'll see. All right, so we'll see what's going to happen in here. Again, nothing has changed as well in there. And then we have the DAX, right? DAX was perfect. Like if you guys recall the prediction made over the weekend and on Monday, price just played out exactly as anticipated from yesterday to today. Like, so again, as you mentioned, we had already this initial break in here to the downside, which kind of was an indication that price wanted to go lower. Then we talked about this zone in there that was accumulating liquidity, and so trapping everyone that was looking for shorts around this level with this fresh level still in here. And then price just went there, beautiful. It was already breaking off the low in there. We talked about that one yesterday, and today it was more of a continuation setup, right? So price did manage then to finally break this level. Then there's a continuation, even in terms of trend lines. Some people, they actually trade with trend lines. There was a nice break and retest of that level already with the break of a low as well. And then price just moved to downside throughout today's trading session. And there you go. Price actually went a little bit lower, and there's maybe a little bit more room to the downside in here. So that was exactly a great move that we looked for, that we talked about this week. So, and if you did manage to take it, perfect. At least if this helps you, I'm happy with it. So great setup that we had this week in here. In terms of continuation, yeah, we can continue to see a little bit more of a move to downside in here. There's perhaps more continuation as price maybe retains a little bit more to the upside, can maybe find more selling pressure. We did manage to break out these lows in here. Again, the compression was there, so no surprise that price basically just in a quick move or strong move just in one direction in here without many retrasts or retracements. And yeah, it's about finding out within this level where maybe we can anticipate price eventually to react again before continuation to the downside in case price wants to do it. All right, and then yes, then prices can continue to go and eventually can even target again this lower extreme in there. Looking at, just taking a look at the Nikkei in here, price did manage to break or not. The BOJ overnight, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in here. Yeah, it can definitely still even go a little bit more to the upside in there. We do have this gap as well in there, so we'll see. Bitcoin just keeps respecting, so didn't really move at this point. So I'm looking for this traction here, potentially hold price to the upside. Otherwise, price may go all the way to retest this traction here, but maybe in here it's going to be enough, especially around this level, would be enough for Bitcoin to eventually go a little bit more to the upside. Ethereum got a little bit closer as well to that structure, so that's something that we are also looking for to see how price may react from here. I was actually looking for a new retracing here and go long. Price hasn't really reacted from it just yet, so yeah, we'll see. But price could definitely maybe react from still this level in here and find new buying pressure, and perhaps eventually price could get closer to this zone in there. Yeah, so we'll see about that one. And then the indices, like, and this is what I mentioned. This is the Euro Index. This was basically the pair of the week and also started already last week. Like we talked about this turn, we talked about this trend line that was playing out in here and price breaking the trend line, then start holding this level. It looks like that Euro Index, in this case, Euro pairs, were about to gain some strength in here. And that's exactly what happened. It played out really nicely to the upside. Perfect move. And yeah, just filling the space, right? Unfortunately for me, in terms of the euro pound, as you'll see in a bit, price is doing now what I wanted to do it, right? So I hold the trade basically almost for a week just to get stopped out at break even yesterday for price not to turn and finally make out that move to the upside that I wanted to see. Yeah, that's the market, as we'll see in a bit. And this can continue, all right? Can continue a little bit more of strength on the Euro Index. We may have a little bit of a reaction from this level. Maybe our price is reacting right now, but then eventually can even go a little bit more to the upside. So that was definitely one of the pairs that actually helped to understand or where to find the best opportunities, and the strength on the euro pairs was something that we could look for as well. And then the end index, right? This is the one that we've been waiting for. Again, price is still ranging within this level. I'm waiting to see what price may do. And as I mentioned before, I would even like to see price perhaps making a new low in here and then eventually turning, right? And you do have this strong trend line, price basically still respecting that level. So that will be the ideal. But tomorrow with the volatility on the yen, with the BOJ, so we'll see what's going to happen. We do have this left shoulder in there. That's maybe a level that price can eventually move toward or can react from. So we'll see what's going to happen. But definitely that I would like to see, and I will not take any trades in here until price actually fakes out this low, which may happen overnight in here. So that's something to bear in mind. If price does want to go even lower than that, all right, so we need to start looking a little bit at the zones below that, which starts to be somewhere around this structure. Okay, so we may have a little bit of this structure in here, because if some have shoulders, price reacted from it. That high is in alignment with the other one. Yeah, this looks like it's one of the last levels that was left behind in here. That price, one of the last supplies was around this level, where price basically reacted a little bit but went up, and then it reacted on the way on the opposite structure, right? Basically creating a little bit of this demand zone in there with this low and then push to the upside. So yes, if you are looking for price to go slightly lower comparing with these lows, I'll be looking maybe for something around this level, because this was the one basically that initiated now this move to the downside. Price went there, it didn't really respect it. Okay, should have seen a little bit more of selling pressure from there. We didn't, and after that price just literally broke to the upside and now is moving, right? And now yeah, it moved upwards after that. So yeah, somewhere around this level we may have another reaction, so we'll see what's going on in there. Just as a reference as well, let's use this left shoulder. All right, yeah, that one, we'll see what's going to happen. Looking at the individual currency pairs, all right, so let's jump into euro dollar. What a momentum, right? So we talked about yesterday that it looks like that the bottom was in place and you're looking for just a small retracement in here, and that happened, right? We talked about a scenario that this one for us was already an engulf to the upside, right? That was something that we were anticipating, which means that this level in here wouldn't be holding the price anymore, especially after price respected these lows in there. So this is now the moment for a momentum in here, right? This is kind of the last zone, the last setup of the zone 2 became into a zone 3. There was a lot of zones in here that we are looking for, eventually actually above this highs. Did price already react from it? It got really close to it. So I'm looking for price to go slightly higher still. So we had that initial move to the upside and the news, and then price which we just fake out this level into a good level in here, to be honest. And then it moved to the upside. Like this, more a little bit in the middle. Something that you can bear in mind as well, like this zone, it looks like it was important also in alignment with this spike in here. Right, this was created with the news, and sometimes just pay attention to these candles that are created quite aggressively, kind of in a spike, especially with this news event, and try to track either the up, kind of the top or the bottom of that zone, which tends to be, again, if it was a bearish candle, to be kind of the bottom, which means that price eventually in the future tends to go there, react from the level, and then continue to move to the upside. Those levels in here work really nice as a support resistance in there. So that's a reference. Again, you can go study, go check in the history to see exactly what I mentioned, but that's a great level to expect price to react from. In this case, now it's all about, in my opinion, a little bit more of about finding a good level to continue to look for longs. And we do have a little bit of this structure in there. So that's a little bit of where we are going to be looking for. It's a little bit where the separation is. We have these lows in there. So yeah, we'll see what kind of pair we're going to have, but the goal is in here to look for a move to the upside in there. At least until there, it can even go slightly higher. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the euro. And again, this can be literally the bottom in terms of price moving all the way with the potential final target, even targeting closer to this level. If price by any chance does want to make one last low in here, all right, we may still have this zone in there to look for. Right, if by any chance price does still want to make one last push down, we may have that zone in there. That's just something to bear in mind. Bit in alignment to this left shoulder, so that's, yeah, it's just this is just something to bear in mind here. Pound dollar, right? So pound dollar, this was the craziness of the budget that was announced. We saw a lot of volatility in here, and that's basically one of the reasons why the pound has been, or is not, didn't really move to the upside as $0. All right, so I mentioned yesterday that perhaps there's still a chance that you could see a deep retracement on the pound dollar before a continuation to the upside, and it happened. Now, in my opinion, it didn't really go to where I wanted, so I didn't really look for the longs. All right, we did manage to fake out that low, so that's nice in terms of creating liquidity or tracking that one, but I was looking for price actually to go below that level as well, and it never went there. All right, so price actually ended up respecting still this zone in here, and I was looking for price to go below that and somewhere around here to then move to the upside. So maybe that's still a zone where this pound dollar wants to go one more time. All right, maybe that can be the scenario. Now price now reacted from a okay level at around this structure in here. All right, basically fill already all this space. That's basically a structure that we had in here, and price got really close to it, like it reacted really nicely from that level, and then it turned. So in terms of space, yes, we created new highs, but price is reacting from an okay level, to be honest. All right, it's one of the fresh zones in here, but it could go maybe a little bit more to the upside. As I mentioned as well, in the bigger picture, I could still see pound dollar eventually even going lower, but for now I do like this zone in there. In case price does want to make another leg up, again, there's maybe one zone in here, all right, just under the test of this structure, or the other level is definitely in there, right? And then price perhaps could go a little bit more to the upside again, a little bit, I mean, kind of retest again and challenging these highs again with the potential move to the upside in here on the pound dollar. So that will be a little bit of my take in here. So we will see what's going to happen at this point, but I would like to see actually price definitely moving a little bit further down into more of this zone in there. Then we have euro pound, right? And this is, what can I say about this? This is madness. So there you go. All right. This is just the daily open. Again, euro pound is sometimes New Zealand pairs as well. They do have these weird candles created in here, and some servers price may have not even managed to break that low. But there you go. Like, I've been holding this trade from the 23rd of October. I had taken some profit in there, and then I kept holding it, like with a break-even stop. There you go. I got stopped out again, kind of at break-even, and then price finally making that move. I was looking for this move to the upside because aside from this level, where definitely there was still a good zone for price to react from, but price reacted from here. Oh, I wanted to actually to see this moment price to move to the upside, but he didn't. He managed to still respect that level and then start moving to the downside, and the rest is history. Because personally, I saw this level in here all compressed, and I could even see price continue to even go all the way, perhaps until this level in here, to be honest. All right, and that was the reason why I was trying to hold this euro pound trade for a little bit more of a bigger trade, to be honest. In terms of this bigger space, I could see euro pound getting a little bit in here, if not even taking this highs, to be honest, and getting actually closer to this level, if not even in there. So that's a little bit of what I was looking for. Unfortunately for me, again, I got out of the trade and then price just moved. Like, it was even a good move in here with price breaking highs, coming all the way back into the demand zone and then moving again. This is just in a single candle, basically. I don't really enter like this. So there you go. Like, we'll see. So I could see euro pound maybe continue to move a little bit more to the upside as the pound dollar moves a little bit more to the downside. And then eventually, if the pound dollar does want to respect that structure, picking out the new low as well that is creating there, and then moving to the upside, then we have this euro pound moving a little bit to downside, or at least kind of starting to range a little bit because we may have a continuation on the euro as well to the upside. So that's something to pay attention to in here. Again, this is trading. Unfortunately for me, price made the move after coming all the way down just to take me out. But the analysis was correct. I was also, again, another bias that I had was also the euro index. So like I could see a little bit more strength on the euro index. That's another reason that I was a little bit more confident in holding this trade for a bigger target, but it is what it is. Aussie, right? This is the one that moved overnight. So we had that interest rate decision. Again, price reacting from an interesting zone, now approaching these levels of support resistance. It can still go a little bit further down. Okay, I'm not going to invalidate that potential scenario. But it just fake out which of this, how this was in here as well and reacting from that structure. And then it created actually a good PA, right? We had that low, price starting to kind of create a little bit of a new high in there, then the fake out, and then price move. Meanwhile, that all of that happened overnight, so we'll see, right? And then price nice move in here. Maybe price hasn't really reacted. Maybe there's still a little bit more of space at this point. Basically, price already filled this initial compression that was visible in here, so that was a nice one. So we'll see what's going to happen in here. That was the initial move that I wanted to try to catch. Now it's a little bit of a different setup when price comes back to these lows to see if this actually there's a chance in here for this to become a double bottom, or if price does want to fake out the lows one more time before potentially move to the upside. Again, we do have some structure in here, so I'm going to be curious to see what kind of PI we're going to look for. I do like this fact as well that you already broke or made a move up, retraced, and we managed to make another leg to the upside. So that's nice because eventually this can lead into a move like that. Like it's much better to see kind of a move like that and then potentially react and go, instead of just looking for something like this and kind of create something here and then go. Right? It's better to have this second high being created in this move. Again, it's just something that goes with practice. You can test it yourself to see what in which one of these two scenarios actually the odds, the likelihood is for price actually to respect the low in here. So yes, now we'll see. Like we'll see. I'm not really sure if I'm already looking for shorts in here, or by any chance I'm just going to be waiting for this Aussie dollar eventually to approach the lows. It could react a little bit from here, or it can react from some structure around this level and continue to push a little bit further down. So that's the zone that we are going to be looking for in here. But I'm going to be a bit more biased to look for long, so I'm going to wait more for price to retest and then potentially look for longs, or eventually looking for price to get a little bit lower before aiming for that move in here. And yeah, maybe the dollar index can also help with that. Then we have New Zealand. All right, New Zealand also made that move to the upside during the overnight. Price is still respecting that level. Again, I still like that zone in here where price eventually can go towards 2. But so far, again, that's a good level where price is reacting. We did manage to break some structure as well. Again, we have been looking for this compression. I mentioned even yesterday that I was really enjoying to see this move to downside on the Aussie dollar and New Zealand in a compression way, which means that eventually when you do have the turn, it can create a great opportunity to look for longs and the potential big move in here. So at this point, we have already lots of liquidity in here with these lows being taken. Also some highs being created in here even before the last low. So it's going to be another one that I'll be looking to see what's going to happen. Can you see the comparison between this New Zealand dollar? Even though we have a small fake out in here, okay? That's actually a tricky one because we do have it. I was about to make the comparison between what I just described on the Aussie dollar and New Zealand in terms of the move, right? Opposite to just and potentially some here go. Right, so but we did have it because we kind of have a little bit of a move down and then you have the fake out and then you go down, right? Even though price may have just reacted from here. That's a little bit of the difference if you compare both moves in here. Like if you see like this and this one in here is just a move in one direction, right? So that's a little bit of the difference that I was mentioning, which means that perhaps if you just consider this one as one move in here, perhaps you can still have one last low before moving, right? But we are actually starting to create some structure in here as well, so that's nice to see. So we do have this structure in here on New Zealand dollar, which can be quite interesting. So we'll see. All right, so we do have that break. all right, which starts opening the door to go to the upside, and then we can have the PI around this level in here. That price could eventually turn and move to the upside, right? Maybe some kind of trend line as well, as price is moving to the downside. That could help eventually for the turn. The other Aussie pairs, like we talked about Aussie dollar as well, to fill out this compression and then potential reaction from there, and it played out perfectly. Like we talked exactly about that, and price reacted perfectly from there. We had already kind of a small break of a low in there, even though price may have just reacted that zone, so that we talked about that as well. We did manage to break new lows now in there as well. Now the scenario is that price can even go above this high, right? Price can definitely still go above this high and react from something in here before having a bigger turn. So what I'm looking for at this point on the Euro Aussie is more of a compression move, but starting already to have some bigger retracements to the downside, right? You may have a compression move similar to what's going on in here, that price just moving like this, but then you may have a little bit more of a move like this that eventually starts creating a little bit more of weakness and liquidity, but with bigger retracements potentially before a turn. And that can happen maybe only after price actually takes this high and get closer to that level. So that's something to bear in mind in here on the Euro Aussie. We'll see how price may react from these lows, sorry, from these highs in here, which perhaps can still react quite nicely from there and move to downside. We'll see. All right, maybe there's still some selling pressure at around this level that you can look for. Maybe if price starts breaking this structure in here as well, it can help. So that's something to bear in mind in here on the Euro Aussie. Like that could be a play. On the Aussie, right? Also saw a lot of selling pressure again because of the budget announcement in the UK. Good reaction from a little bit of this extreme. All right, so after such a big move to the upside, now finding a little bit of selling pressure, and perhaps can just react from this level in here and go at this point, kind of reacting a little bit from that structure. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen in there. And then we go into the Aussie yen, right? And tomorrow with the BOJ, we'll see what's going to happen. Price is still kind of respecting that lower structure in there. And we do have this, so we'll see. To be honest, I don't really have a bias at this point. I see that price is still respecting that level. I could still price literally just making this, or can even go higher first before moving to the downside. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Dollar yen, that's a different story. So we do have this structure. All right, we have this these highs. Price hasn't really managed to break these lows neither, but we do have also this above bottom in there. So we have definitely this level, and then that one and that one. And as I mentioned before, I'm still looking for price to go slightly higher in here, right? So I'm still looking for price to go a little bit more towards that level. So that's potentially a zone that I'm going to be looking for. And if dollar yen goes up like that, the yen index is going to make that leg down before turning. So that's something to bear in mind in here. So we'll see if we're going to have that leg to the upside, pick out perhaps all these highs, and then a move to the downside tomorrow. Or it can even have a first leg down and then kind of go up just to break as well all this structure. And then yes, and then you could have a little bit more of a turn in here. So we'll see. Again, can be from there or can be from here as well. Next structure that eventually dollar yen can react from. Yeah, something in there kind of can be a little bit higher as well. So that's dollar yen. Again, our euro yen, because of the euro strength, we actually are seeing finally euro yen moving to the upside, and as I mentioned, to fill out this range, right? We're looking for euro yen, which is finally taking this high. To be honest, we can maybe find a little bit of volatility now as soon as price starts breaking this level in here. So already kind of had a little bit of a reaction. You can see the compression. Price never broke or closed the gap in there. So that's a target to bear in mind. In here, start breaking some lows, so that's nice. All right, start breaking some lows in here. So there you go. That's potentially move in here. We have been waiting for price to get closer, even though all this in here looks like a triple top already, which means that price can even go into the next level as well. And you have this important structure in here on the left side. So that's something to bear in mind. we can go into detail a little bit above these highs in here as well to see if there's a level that maybe price missed, and maybe it missed in there. And this is still the 15 minutes. Yeah, at 5 minutes, it looks like that maybe it missed the supply in here, and price just kept respecting the other zone. So that's definitely something to bear in mind in here on the euro yen as a potential zone to look for. Otherwise, price may just get a little bit closer to this level in here. Now price is faking out this level, so let's see how price may react from here. Yeah, but nice move on the euro yen again. Another one with the euro index. A pound yen. Yeah, there you go. We fake out this high, so that's something that we're looking for. Looking even for price to go slightly higher, so that can still happen. We did manage to break that low, never close the gap similar to the euro yen, but then we respected this level, so we'll see. Right, we'll see if there's enough of a fake out in terms of collecting liquidity, and if the high has been created now, or if we're going to continue to eventually get a little bit, just a little bit closer into that zone, and then moving to the downside in here, right? The potential target eventually to get closer to this and to this level in there. Yeah, so that's one to pay attention. Looking at CAD yen, it just continues to be with the same range, within the same range. Nothing really much going on in here. So dollar CAD continues to respect the high. I'm not really interested in looking, even though we may have something in there that was relevant, to be honest. Yeah, we may had something in here that price actually kind of end up respecting it. Yeah, nice move, and it's now breaking to the downside. We had already this break of a low as well, so that was something that we also noticed. So there you go. Is this the top on the dollar CAD? The dollar CAD tends to respect like this double tops. Sometimes it does, to be honest. Sometimes it does. I can still see these ones in here as an engulf to the downside of this structure. So perhaps eventually price does want to go all the way. Is it going to go from here? Is price going to literally just create a double top and go all the way? Or are we going to have a little bit more of PA, and eventually price can fake out even these highs in here before moving to the downside, and potentially even just filling this range as a target? So again, it looks like that we are creating some interesting bearish move or bearish PA around this structure. So that's something to bear in mind in here on the dollar CAD. But it could start opening a little bit the door for a move further down. Yeah, so we'll see on that one. Then we have EURUSD and so on, right? So EURUSD, another strong move to the upside. Again, nice whipsaw in here and continuation. Like again, similar to the Euro Index, it was quite strong. Perhaps price may find some level of supply in there, some resistance. So we'll see, or eventually can even target again the highs a little bit higher into potentially that level, faking out all of this structure. But for now, yes, for now we do have that one, just collecting liquidity from here. So we'll see what's going to happen. And can I have... All right, it's a big gap in there. Yeah, we did manage to break below this low, so yeah, maybe can start having a little bit of a bearish move in here. Paying attention to the Euro Index as well, maybe what the CAD pairs are doing. Eventually can create a little bit more of a bias, a stronger bias to see if this actually is going to hold and move to the downside, or if it's going to eventually start breaking new structures in here. On CAD, what a great move, right? What a great move. It faked out that high, so we respected that low, so kind of no surprise that price eventually could fake out the high and still reacting from that structure. Now he's making a really aggressive move to the downside. Again, pound pairs have been much more bearish in here, and it's another example. Like a clear another example. Basically cleaned the demand zone in here, made all the way the move to the upside, and then it's just turned. Like it went all the way to fake out that structure, that high, and then it just turned and start ranging in here until it start moving to the downside. So great, interesting move in here. Potentially the target can be all the way until that level. course. First needs to kind of break below this structure, but I can see the potential eventually for price to get there. I do have this continuation of a trend line in here as well. Yeah, so we'll see. Quite aggressive move in here. Dollar franc Swiss. Well, dollar franc Swiss just continues to be here. Like, I'm still waiting. I still want to see this size being taken. We did have that initial break to downside, but I still want to see these lows in here being taken. And after that, I may have that selling opportunity. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Again, nothing has changed exactly in here. Gold, I found a little bit of selling pressure, but now it's already retesting the highs. So interesting enough, just came all the way down in here to collect a little bit of this fresh level that was left behind in here. Interesting enough, right? Below that low, everything in here was compressed. There was this level where price reacted from, and then price just created another low into this level, and then the next one now starts being closer to here, right? That's the next one on gold. Yeah, we did manage to break new highs, so again, perhaps we can have a little bit more of a move up eventually for price to turn. So we'll see. Right, this is the first one, and then the next one is going to be in there. And then you have silver, which, yeah, fake out that initial structure, now reacting from this level, basically the zone that we also had marked. Yeah, silver is finding a little bit more of weakness in here, opposite to gold. So yeah, maybe the momentum on these precious metals are starting to slow down. And then oil, which finally broke a little bit this high, which starts showing indication that wants to go to the upside, right? So yesterday we talked about it as well, the potential long without even price managing to break those lows and starting to move to the upside, and it happened today. Right, so in a little bit of a compression, weird move in here, price went up and kind of retest a little bit up again, kind of starts to move a little bit like this. Eventually you can feel that that gap now that price finally managed to break above that above those highs. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on, or we're going to have a deep retracement before a move to the upside in here. That will be also a possibility, but not necessary, to be honest. Yeah, Brent basically the same thing. All right, Brent hasn't really managed to break above the high just yet, so that's interesting, but expecting a little bit more of the same as well. Like, I'm looking for price to target one of these, then eventually they're above it. Yeah, so that's what you're going to be looking for. I think there's going to be more upside again. If prices want to go a little bit lower, then you can even go into there as well. All right. All right, so that's basically it in terms of what we're going to be looking in here. So just to recap what we covered in today's live stream, all right, it was another volatile day, but without proper direction, especially on US indices and on the dollar. We had a lot of strength on the euro dollar and a lot of volatility on the pound. Why? Because of the budget announcement that was today released by the UK government. Right, so there was a lot of volatility. There is a lot of tax increases, around 40 billion that the government is looking to make with these tax increases. So the market reacted with a little bit of a bearish move on the pound, to be honest. We also had interesting news in the US with the GDP at 2.8%, slightly lower than anticipated, and the non-farm employment change at 233, so it's basically twice as much as the market was anticipated. So that was a positive news in terms of the labor market. Tomorrow we have BOJ, and then we have also core PCE in the US, and unemployment claims. So continue to expect more volatility, and perhaps we finally manage to break a structure on the dollar index that I'm going to be looking or mention in a bit, and maybe we can have a continuation to the downside. And then on Friday, NFP, as you know, and the earnings season also continues as we speak. So this is the level on the dollar index that I'm going to be looking for. Okay, I'm trying to see if we do manage to break below this low. Yesterday we mentioned that there was this space in here to be filled, and that was the first target for any shorts that you were looking for, but you were trying to see if this level was broken, and maybe it's going to be tonight or eventually tomorrow. And if that happens, it starts opening door to a move to downside, potentially to fill out this range, and then it could retrace even tomorrow in the afternoon, and maybe price could react somewhere in here for the NFP. That's something to bear in mind. Potentially break and then maybe retest eventually for the NFP, potentially then to continue in the same direction as the initial break to the downside. If price just continues to respect this level and starts moving to the upside, then we can have new highs and price can even go slightly higher in here. So that's a little bit of the take on the dollar index. As you can see on the euro dollar, price actually managed to, or is managing to break new structure, is breaking new higher highs as we speak, which is slightly different from what you can see on the dollar index. The reason for that, and this is also in alignment with all the euro pairs, is that we had a lot of momentum on the euro index. This was a move that we anticipated since last week, and it played out exactly as expected. Which, if we knew about this potential move on the euro index, which means that we could have looked for those trends on the euro pairs, and we have seen that. We have seen that today on the euro pound, on the euro yen, on the euro Aussie, and on the euro CAD, for example, aside from the euro dollar as well. So that's what we have. Pound dollar is slightly different. Why? Because again, all that volatility in the market, it looks like it's not reacting quite positively with the announcements that were made today. So that's what we have. Opposite direction, we have euro pound finally making the move that I was looking for. Unfortunately for me, I actually got out of the trade yesterday at break even, the second part of the trade at break even, and today price finally made the move that I was looking for the final target, and I can still see more upside on the euro pound. The remaining of the dollar pairs, and we'll talk about Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and so on. Yesterday I mentioned that we were looking for a continuation or a reversal and a move to the upside on those pairs. We had news in Australia. CPI, it was lower than expected, and price actually moved quite nicely. It was overnight, so I'm still looking to see if price retests closer to these lows for a potential move to the upside. So that's something that I'm going to be looking for as well. And then the end pairs, we're going to have BOJ tomorrow. So again, expect volatility. I've been waiting for this move for price actually to still fake out these lows and potentially then move to the upside. We have an interesting compression. If price just decides literally to break out of this structure, then we're going to be looking for price to go slightly lower, and that maybe can be a zone where you can anticipate some reaction. Otherwise, maybe we have this move, this liquidity created of a spike down, and then maybe breaking this trend line, and you start looking for price to move to the upside, which is totally the opposite of what you can expect on the individual yen pairs. We're looking for a potential sell on the euro yen, dollar yen, pound yen, and so on. Like again, let price make another leg up, and then a move to the downside. Dollar CAD and the CAD pairs, like dollar CAD is literally reacting, creating a double top at this level. We'll see what's going to happen. Not really into the shorts just yet. And then you have the US indices, which they are ranging, like so. This is what we have in here on the S&P. Again, we do have still that break to downside. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually move to the downside and fill this price, but price still needs to break these lows first to start opening door to go further down. And again, I still like the highs where price can even react from it as well. Nasdaq, really nice reaction. That was a zone that we were looking for in here. This is basically the last zone from these highs back in July, and this was the initial target, and price apparently just reacting from it. Maybe just the announcement of the earnings in Meta and Microsoft, if not mistaken. So this is the reaction that we have at this point in here. And then the Dow is also just ranging in here. The DAX reacted perfectly. Like if you guys notice, and if you follow the analysis that we did on Monday, we were looking for that short from this level, and price play out exactly as expected. Price had already broken that low, so we are definitely looking for sales in here, and price just filled the range completely, and price just filled the range really nicely. and there's maybe a little bit more room to the downside in here on the DAX with potentially target all the way until these lows, but maybe price could retest a little bit before continue to move to the downside in here. Bitcoin just continues to be really close to the highs, Ethereum a little bit more of the same, so we'll see if we're eventually going to manage to break new all-time highs in here on BTC or not. And then you have gold and silver. Gold continues to go and create new all-time highs, but it's losing momentum. Silver is finding a little bit of a bearish pressure. And then just to finalize, we have oil, which finally started to see a little bit more of bullishness. We have been waiting and looking for these longs from these lows, and eventually looking for price to close the gap that was created over the weekend. That's basically it. So tomorrow, maybe more upside or downside on the dollar, upside a little bit more on the euro until price reaches the target. Pound dollar, there's this opportunity to potentially look for more longs close to the lows. And the NPRs, well, we'll see how price is when we wake up after the BOJ, and US indices potentially shorts as well. Longs we'll see also. We are still needing to see more direction or more confirmation in terms of what to expect next. Oil, more longs, and that's basically it. Aussie dollar, New Zealand, that's definitely something that I'm going to be looking for as well for longs. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.